Shalom! Today we will be reading Interview with the Devil, written by Sharman Castillo, out of the book Wow Stories, Volume 1, copyright 2007. The Office. I'm coming. Goodness, whoever's on the other end of that phone must have no life. Dawn said sarcastically.
Well, maybe if you actually sat at your desk instead of walking the halls constantly, people wouldn't seem so desperate.
Charles said back to her in an equally sarcastic voice.
Whatever.
Dawn rolled her eyes and then turned her back on Charles.
Hello, Dave Foxx show. Dawn speaking. How may I help you?
Dawn sat back down behind her desk and picked up a pen.
You're who? Oh, really? Okay. Well, let me take your number and I'll have him call you back. Of course I will. You have a fabulous day as well. Bye-bye.
You were rude, Dawn. You know we're not supposed to bring our problems to work. Or maybe that's just something you can do. Terrible,
Charles said. He then walked over to Dawn's desk.
Are you all right?
Oh, yes. Sorry. I wasn't really trying to be rude, though, you guys. I mean, we all play around here at being rude and all, but this guy was something else.
This time, Sarah got up from her desk and walked over to Dawn. Sarah was Dave Foxx's personal assistant. They all worked for NFIC Television Broadcasting Corporation. The Dave Foxx Show was one of NFIC's most profitable late-night talk shows.
Well, what happened, my dear, to upset you so?
Sarah placed a comforting hand on Dawn's shoulder.
Well, this guy just called asking to speak to Dave,
Dawn said.
Okay, you should have just transferred him right over to me, honey. I am, after all, Dave's assistant.
Sarah gently rebuked.
I was going to. That is until he said it was the devil. I mean, HaSatan himself.
Dawn looked into each of their eyes. There was a deadly silence in the room. Then Charles threw back his head and began to roar with laughter. Dawn, seeing Charles's mirth, began to laugh as well. Others began to laugh as Charles and Dawn explained what had just happened.
And you say the devil left a number he could be reached at?
One of the co-workers barked out.
What's it say? 666?
And then more laughter. Dawn reached for the number and looked at it. Then she laughed again.
As a matter of fact, it does. It says 666-7666. I don't even think there's a number that can be reached like that. Hey, should we try it?
They all began to laugh and to dare one another to try and
No,
make the
not
call.
Me, you call.
Give me the number.
Sarah's voice cut like a sharp knife through their laughter. Her face was set with such seriousness that the laughter died down. Again, she extended her hand.
Give me the number, and then all of you get back to work.
Why should we listen to you?
Charles felt offended at her tone.
First off, because the call was for Mr. Fox, and I am Mr. Fox's assistant. And second, because the call was real. What are you saying? That Lucifer, HaSatan, the devil himself, has called looking for Mr. Fox? Are you mad?
Dawn asked.
I am saying precisely that. Mr. Fox will be quite pleased. He has been trying to get the devil to come on the show for almost 8 years now, and the devil has always ignored our calls or turned us down. He said he would come on at the appointed time. I have never understood what he meant, but Mr. Fox seemed to understand. I think this might be the appointed time, so the number, please.
The paper was passed from Dawn to Charles, who then passed it to Sarah.
Thank you.
Sarah then walked over to her desk and picked up her phone. She mumbled a few words into the receiver, and before she could even hang up the phone, Mr. Fox came out of his office and snatched the number from out of her hand.
I want all of the guests for tomorrow night's show canceled, and I want the show to go live with no editing. This is going to be the most important interview of my life. You are all to be in the studio tomorrow night to watch the taping. Do you all hear me?
Dave announced excitedly. Mr. Fox, he did not say he was coming on the show. He just said that he wanted you to call him. Charles scratched his head. How can we cancel guests? We have that comedian woman coming on tomorrow, the one who was outraged by the war. If we cancel her, we don't know if we will ever be able to get her to come back on again.
Believe me, this was all pre-arranged. As soon as I got this call, I was told that the very next day, I needed to be prepared for him to make an appearance. I am prepared. So please just do as I say. Sarah, please pack up and let's go to lunch. I can't work anymore. I need to go over some things with you. I believe there are some things about me you probably need to know.
Certainly, Mr. Fox. My pleasure. Let me just grab my coat and my purse. I'll be right with you.
Sarah gathered her things and then left the room with Mr. Fox. That was weird. He has changed so much in the past month. I really can't explain it, you know. Just different. He doesn't even laugh at some of the jokes we used to laugh at together, you know. Charles said to everyone in the room. I know. We used to flirt back and forth with one another.
I probably would have kept that one to myself.
Everyone looked at her with disgust.
What? Trying to get a promotion?
Jenny implied. Don't be an idiot, Jenny. All that I'm saying is that we used to play like that. Nothing serious. And it never would have went anywhere. But lately, he has been very standoffish. Kind of like a changed man.
Well, it doesn't really matter now. We need to cancel the guests for tomorrow night's show and set everything up. I think this is ridiculous that we're letting some psycho man come on the show to parade himself off to the public as the devil. The devil, you guys, come on. How can we ever live this down? How can this show ever survive after people find this out?
Everyone was in total agreement 100%. That it was totally wrong to let the people think that the guy coming on tomorrow night's show was the devil, considering there was no such thing as a devil. But they were NFIC employees, and they had to do their job. As a matter of fact, the company had only changed its name over to NFIC 2 months ago, and no one knew why. They were just happy not to have been laid off and replaced with new staff. Dave sat across from Sarah in the dimly lit restaurant. He had been keeping this terrible secret for the last 10 years, and he was glad that the secret was coming to an end. He ordered his meal from the waiter and then waited patiently for Sarah to order her meal as well. Then he took a deep breath and asked,
So, what are you thinking?
What? Oh, you startled me.
Sarah jumped and then laughed.
What do you mean?
Well, with this whole devil thing, what are you thinking? It's important to me.
Oh, well, I don't know. I know it's important for you to have this man come on the show, considering we've been trying to get him to come on the show for the past 8 years. What I don't understand is why you call him the devil. Is he so evil that you label him like that? Or is he in a gang or what? I don't understand that. But I'm glad that he is coming on so that we can have some kind of closure, if that helps.
Sarah took a sip from her glass of tea.
Well, I understand your confusion, Sarah. I am going to explain a few things to you about myself before I reveal my secret to you, though. I want you to get a full grasp of what I'm saying.
Dave sat back and smiled to himself, and then looked at Sarah.
When I was a young child, I remember being hungry and going to dumpsters to find food. I remember not having any running water or electricity, and none of it seemed unnatural to me, because that's all we had ever known. That is until we went to school, and I saw the other children in their clean clothing, nice white shirts, and me and my sister in our gray or dingy looking clothing.
He looked at her to see what her reaction would be, and finding none, he continued.
I never even knew that we smelled as awful as we did, until I would smell the fresh smell of the girls as they walked by. I would compare myself and my sister to them, and so I knew we were different. It went on like this throughout elementary school, but when we got into junior high and high school, we would go to the gas station and wash up at night, and we always took a shower after gym. My mother was not always home, and we never knew our father, so it was a pretty hard life.
You know, Mr. Fox, you don't have to continue. This is none of my business.
Sarah interrupted.
Oh no, Sarah. Don't worry. I have great joy in telling you this story. I'm not ashamed.
Dave smiled.
I tried different jobs after high school, but I could never get ahead. And I had a mother who was on drugs to take care of and a sister. I didn't want my life to be for nothing. I was willing to do anything, and I do mean anything, to get out of poverty. I was tired, and I was tired of being tired. I was tired of the water getting cut off or the electricity. You know, I was tired of having to borrow money till my next check so I could pay people back.
The waiter interrupted Dave by bringing them their meal.
Thank you.
Dave allowed Sarah to place her napkin in her lap and for her to take her first bite before he continued.
Anyhow, I remember shouting, "Come on, give me a break." Then out of nowhere, a man appeared and told me he could help me.
You mean poof? Someone just appeared?
Sarah asked mockingly.
No, I mean not long after I made that statement, a man came into my life, and from that moment on, my life was changed forever. I started doing comedy, and people really thought that I was funny, and I was in great demand. 1 year later, I was offered my own late-night talk show, and I have been doing that ever since.
Oh, I think I get it. Are you trying to say that this devil guy, whom you chose not to, name, was the foot in the door for you? And now he wants you to reward him or something?
Sarah was outraged that this man would try to use Dave in this way.
What I don't get is, why is he doing it now? I mean, we've been trying to get this guy to come on the show for the past 8 years. Why now?
Because 10 years ago, when he promised to make me rich and successful, he made me swear in blood that I would honor my vow to repay him when the time came for payment to be made. I believe he is ready to be paid now.
Dave said calmly. Sarah looked at Dave in wonder. How could this man be so calm when he was being blackmailed for money?
Okay. So how much money does he want? Are you actually gonna pay him?
Sarah asked. Dave took a deep sip from his glass and then wiped the corners of his mouth.
He doesn't want money from me, Sarah. He wants my soul. 10 years ago, when I made that pact in blood, Sarah, I sold my soul to HaSatan for fame, and now he's come for the payment. And it's the payment I promised.
Sarah was both shocked and frightened.
You cannot be serious, Dave. Please tell me you're not serious. This has to be a joke.
I am, Sarah, and I promise that what I am telling you is the truth. He showed me my future, and I saw it with my own eyes. I was desperate, and so I did what I thought I needed to do at the time. Urge was so great, I couldn't even resist if I wanted to. So now you know.
Dave looked to see what kind of an effect his words were having on Sarah.
I can't believe this is true. It's just so hard to believe.
Sarah was shaking.
Well, believe it, for it is true.
Well, what are you gonna do?
I guess, we will have to wait and see what happens tomorrow night. I know this is a great shock, and I'm not immune to your feelings. But don't worry about it, Sarah. I just needed to tell someone, and I trust you. So eat your dinner. We will worry about tomorrow when it comes.
Dave placed his hands on top of Sarah's and gave her a reassuring squeeze.
I can't believe I let you talk your father and I into coming to this place, Tracy.
Miss King said to her 18-year-old daughter.
My gosh, it's freezing out here. It's so cold.
Miss King was 36 years old, and her husband was 2 years older than she.
They had allowed their daughter to talk them into coming to the taping of the Dave Foxx show, even though she had not really wanted to come. Her husband had been the one to make the final decision, and now here they were.
Mom, this is so exciting. I know that you don't care about these kinds of shows and all, but I had a strong desire to come tonight. I think I got it about a week ago, and I just bought the tickets in faith. It was like Yahuwah was telling me we should be here.
Ariana was trying hard to get her mother to understand what had compelled her to come, but didn't think she was getting across to her at all.
I don't know if Yah asked us to come here or not, my dear, but all I know is that we're here now, and I hope they let us in soon,
Miss King said.
Well, hun, it don't look like we have to wait long anymore. The line is moving.
Mr. King said in good humor.
Dad.
The King family were Israelites who had come to accept Yeshua as their Mashiach, and they loved him. Miss King was not into attending what she called worldly events, so she could not pretend that she liked the Dave Foxx show very much. She had heard the jokes he usually cracked about Israelites being fake in the past, and just didn't find him or his sense of humor humorous at all.
Great. The sooner we go in, the sooner we can leave,
She said with a smile.
Oh, Mom, chill out and have some fun for once.
Ariana laughed.
I am fun, you
My
silly
gosh, Mom,
goose.
I promise you, you're not.
I just know in my heart that Yahuwah has called us to be here tonight.
Ariana said. I doubt it, Miss King said back.
We're next.
Mr. King said in order to cheer up the group. The frantic producer yelled.
No, he hasn't even called. I can't reach him at that number that he gave us. It says it's not a working number. I don't get it. Dave was able to reach him by it just yesterday. What the heck is going on here?
Charles was devastated. In all the years he had worked at the Dave Foxx show, he and all the other staff had never experienced anything as devastating as a guest not showing up.
Can we get anybody else here at the last minute?
The producer wanted to know.
No, I tried to get that comedian woman back on, but her people said that she had made other arrangements. So I think that's our cue to never bother asking her again because she won't come.
Charles was frantic now as well.
Where's Dave? Does he not even know or care that we go on in 2 minutes, people, and we don't have a guest?
Care about what?
Dave walked in on his way to the stage.
You don't have a guest. The devil guy never showed up.
He'll be here. Go ahead and announce me. I'm ready.
Dave readjusted his tie, and after hearing Charles in his usual tone announce him, he walked out to a thunder of applause and cheers from the audience.
Oh, look, Mom and Dad, there he is. Yay! Yay! Yay!
Ariana stood up with the rest of the audience and cheered. Mr. King stood up as well and cheered and clapped. Miss King stood up and clapped just for the sake of appearance. The audience was truly happy to see Dave. They finally sat down to hear what funny opening joke he would tell. However, they were shocked to see how serious his face was.
I want to welcome you all here tonight and to thank you for coming. Tonight is truly going to be a historic night because on tonight's show, I have a guest coming on that I have been trying to get to come on here for the past 8 years. I am happy to say that he is finally here. So I would like to bring him on out now. Lucifer, come on out.
Dave turned in the direction the guests would normally walk out onto the stage from, and there was an eerie silence.
What in the world is he talking about? Nobody is here. Is somebody here? Am I missing something?
The producer was beside himself, as were the rest of the staff. There was no one there. Who in the world was Dave talking about?
Charles, Terrence. I don't believe it, but look on the monitor. A man just walked out. This is so impossible. He would have had to come by us. How was this done? My goodness, I'm going crazy. What's going on?
Bob, the producer, had to sit down.
I know it's impossible, but it just happened.
Charles said, staring at the monitor. It was impossible because they were on the other side of the curtain that led to the stage, and in order to get to that stage, you had to walk right by where the staff was congregated and open the curtain to go on to the stage. Yet there on the monitor was a man dressed in a white tailored suit. He looked like a Greek statue with jet black shoulder-length hair and dark eyebrows. His eyes were a penetrating black, and his teeth were a dazzling white. This was all just too impossible. When Dave made the announcement for Lucifer to come onto the stage, there was an eerie silence. Everyone waited, not knowing if someone would actually come out for sure. When the man in the white suit came out, there was a collective gasp, and then thunderous applause. The man in the white suit graciously accepted the applause and cheers as if it were his due. Then he took the seat that Dave indicated he should take.
Daddy, this is a sick joke. I am so sorry I made you and Mom come to this taping. I am so sorry. Ariana, you and Leslie begin to pray right now, and I'll pray too. I don't think anyone understands, but I sense in my spirit that this is real. Just have faith in Yeshua and begin to pray. That is HaSatan.
Mr. King began to pray for the audience that Yahuwah would protect them all. The audience finally settled down, and Dave sat down as well.
I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I am thrilled that you are finally here and quite surprised as well.
Dave said,
Well, I'm happy to be here as well. I've had some pressing issues to attend while I was in town, so I thought I'd just go ahead and handle all of my business.
Lucifer casually purred.
Oh, well, for the sake of our audience, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. What would you like to know?
Lucifer sat up with a big toothy grin.
Well, are you really as bad as everyone says you are?
Dave asked with a smile.
Of course not. I'm really just misunderstood. You see, everybody automatically thinks I'm this terrible serpent-like creature with horns and a tail. That is not me at all. I am really a charming guy. I want to bring joy to people everywhere.
And how do you do that?
Dave asked.
Well,
Satan then looked at Dave with a bemused expression on his face.
Say, for instance, someone is lonely and they cry out to the Most High to help them. And of course, he doesn't come through. Well, then I will help them. You see, you can always turn to me.
The audience looked surprised at one another and then began to clap. Some of the people foolishly began to plan how they would get the devil to give good things to them. Dave waited for the applause to die down before he asked his next question.
So, are you saying that the things that you can do for people is better than what Yahuwah can provide?
HaSatan's eyes took on a sinister gleam.
Absolutely. You see, with me, as soon as you ask me, I give it to you. Fame, fortune, looks, the person you want in your life, or the person you want out of your life.
HaSatan began to laugh at his witty response, and the annoying audience joined him.
Oh, well, if you only want to do good things for people, then why would Yahuwah kick you out of heaven? And how come you have no access to paradise, where the forefathers and the saints of Yah are? And which is the place as well we as men all hope to go? Although you and some of your minions now walk the earth, why would hell and the lake of fire be your final destination, which most of us certainly don't want to go to?
Dave asked this question with an innocent face.
Because he did not. I chose to leave on my own, along with my faithful followers.
Really? Well, then can I ask you something?
Dave asked. The devil looked at Dave with barely suppressed rage.
Why not? You seem to be on a roll.
Well,
According to the Bible in Isaiah, I think it is, I read that you were an angel of light, that you were kind of like the choir director in heaven, but you became prideful and wanted to place yourself far above the throne of Yahuwah, and so he kicked you out of heaven.
Dave laughed.
I also read that Yeshua said you were a liar, and not only that, but that you were the father of lies.
Dave laughed again at the words he had just spoken, which caused the audience to laugh as well.
Wow, to be the choir director 1 minute and then sentenced to hell the next, boy, must be awful. To be in Yahuwah's presence 1 minute and in the next minute to be eternally separated. Wow, how can you stand it?
Dave was still in a festive, jovial mood. Satan opened his mouth to speak, but was cut off by Dave.
Boy, I read in the New Testament that when Yeshua was hung on the tree and died, that he went down to the inner parts of earth and with a great show snatched the keys of death and hell from right out of your hands. How can you stand it? What was that like?
Dave was laughing hard now. HaSatan was visibly angry as well.
Daddy, why is Mr. Fox purposely provoking the devil? I don't know, but I do know that Yahuwah has encamped his Malachim here in our midst.
Mr. King was confident to say.
John, how do you know?
Miss King asked.
Because I can see them on the stage and all around the audience. They are standing wing to wing, like link angels. It's awesome. HaSatan sees them too.
Mr. King's eyes showed with wonder.
Abba Yah, I pray in the name of Yeshua that you would open up my wife and my daughter's eyes and that of any other believer who may be in the audience, so that they may see that there are more here for us than there are of those who are against us.
Supernaturally, Yahuwah began to open the eyes of the people that were there in the audience, and they could see the 12-foot-tall Malaks with their wings touching one another. Behind Dave, one of the Malaks looked up and addressed the people of Yahuwah.
Yahuwah, your Elohim, says to pray in the name of Yeshua for his protection. Now, for tonight you have been brought to this place for such a time as this, and the non-believers here and watching by television will see the glory of Yahuwah, and many will believe, but many will be as Pharaoh in the days of old, and their hearts will be hardened.
Then the Malak once again bowed his eyes to wait on Yahuwah. The people of Yahuwah began to intercede by praying.
What in the world is this circus show? Can somebody tell me what in the world is going on?
Bob was yelling at anyone who would listen.
I don't know what is going on, and I don't care. Look at the ratings and keep that camera rolling, no matter what. Do you people hear me? No matter what.
The executive producer yelled into all of the camera people's earpieces. Dave was still laughing when he paused for breath.
I'm sorry. Let's begin again.
HaSatan interrupted Dave and spoke.
Enough. Enough about me. Why don't we tell the people about you?
Dave's laughter disappeared, and he asked the devil,
Tell them what?
Well, how about starting out that 10 years ago, you were nothing but a broke-down bum, struggling to get by, when I came into your life and put you in the position you now hold so dear. It was I who gave you fame and fortune and power and wealth and happiness. It was I who came to you.
Satan was sitting forward in his seat now, leaning towards Dave.
And your point is what?
Dave challenged back.
My point is, don't you dare sit here all holier than thou and try to embarrass me in front of the people. Because I don't embarrass easy. You needed me and I came to you, and I'm here now.
That's right. You are here now. But I've been trying to get in touch with you for the past 8 years.
I was busy. I can't be everywhere at one time, you know.
HaSatan snapped at Dave.
Why not? Yahuwah can. He's omnipresent.
Dave asked.
Shut up. I'm here now, and I want my part of the deal. I want your soul.
HaSatan shouted.
What the
The
hell?
audience gasped in dismay. At first, all of this seemed so entertaining, but now it wasn't so amusing any longer.
Well, Lucifer, I'm sorry, but I can't give you my soul.
Dave said in all seriousness. The audience and the backstage crew became terrified as right in front of their eyes, the charming, handsome man they had all referred to as the devil transformed right in front of their eyes. The lights in the studio became very gray, and the stage on which Dave and the devil sat became a spotlight. HaSatan became 10 feet tall, and his skin took on that of a lizard-type texture. He suddenly grew the tail and horns he said he never possessed, and his tongue became as a serpent.
You dare to refuse to give me the soul you vowed to me? Then I will take it by force.
Satan slithered around the desk to tower over Dave.
This is some crazy stuff, but keep rolling.
The executive producer exclaimed.
Oh, and if someone knows how to pray, then pray.
In the audience, the people at first screamed and began to run towards the exits, but could not go through the doors due to some type of force field. Many cowered by the doors, while others remained in their seats praying to anyone for help. The people of Yahuwah remained unafraid, because Yah had opened their eyes. And not only could they see HaSatan for who he was, they could see every evil spirit in the place. They also saw the warriors of Yahuwah, and as they looked at each other, they could see that they were all dressed in the full armor of Yah. No one in the audience, including the people of Yahuwah, could understand why throughout all of the shenanigans that the devil displayed, Dave remained unmoved. As HaSatan slithered around Dave to tower over him, Dave sat in thoughtful silence, looking at his hands on his desk. He looked up at Satan, and in a calm voice he said,
HaSatan, Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharel, rebukes you in the name of Yeshua, his son.
HaSatan recoiled as if hot water had been thrown on him.
What did you say?
The devil hissed.
I said, Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharel, rebukes you in the name of Yeshua, his son.
Then Dave sat up and looked at the audience.
He's right, 10 years ago, I did sell my soul to the devil, and I became rich, very rich. I was debt-free, and I could now do all of the things that I had only dreamt of doing. But everything I did came with a price.
Dave had tears in his eyes.
In order for me to get the things I wanted, someone else had to die, or lost their job, or got kicked out of the position I wanted. I became depressed and miserable. I had just gotten this show, and although I looked happy, a young man with his own talk show, I wasn't. I began calling the devil, trying to get him to come back on the show so I could pay him back my debt. I just wanted it to be over with, I didn't want to continue, but I did it because I had to wait for the devil.
Dave then wiped away his tears and smiled.
But you know what? The devil should have come when I called him, because you know what? I met an incredible woman about 2.5 months ago. She wouldn't have anything to do with me because she said I was self-involved. She actually called me a heathen.
Dave laughed at the memory.
Anyhow, to make a long story short, I thought that I was hellbound until I found out that there was one and only one who could cancel out all of my debt to HaSatan. And that one person was Yeshua, our Mashiach.
HaSatan became furiously angry when he heard this and began to cuss.
In the name of Yeshua, cease and desist that foul language, you devil,
Dave declared.
You see, people, I gave my life to Yeshua,
and he introduced me to our loving and forgiving Abba Yahuwah, and he became the Adonai of my life. I learned that Satan is a liar, and he deceives the world into believing different lies, like we have time, or there are many paths to Yahuwah, or if you sell your soul to him, you are lost forever. I came to show you that that is not true. HaSatan is not powerful. He's not all powerful anyhow. He himself is submitted to Yah and his son Yeshua, and Yeshua has given us power to resist the devil.
Dave then turned to HaSatan and said,
Devil, to you, all your foul demons and even human spirits that are wickedly soul traveling, that are here with you right now, get behind me now in the name of Yeshua.
And just like that, HaSatan and his demons disappeared.
The Most High Yah has allowed me this opportunity to display his power and his glory. He opened my eyes to his word in Deuteronomy 28 by letting me know that I was an Israelite, and he had come to fetch me by opening my eyes to the truths of his word, letting me know that a great awakening was approaching and that I was a part of it, letting me know that his son's name was Yeshua and not Jesus, and that he was the Lamb sent to restore Yasharel and the Yahudim to the Father. Hallelujah! Some of you will be awakened tonight, but many of you will try to intellectually decipher what just took place here and will remain asleep. Don't be the latter.
Dave went on to explain the great deception with the information available to him and to tell the people who the true Israelites were. He also spoke about the covenant Yahuwah had made with the ancestors of the true Israelites and what Yeshua's sacrifice really did for them as a people. However, there were both Hebrews and Gentiles in the audience, and some of them thought that it was a great Hollywood trick. But others had a seed instilled in their hearts, and Yeshua will be back for them later when the Abba begins the Great Awakening. All in all, Yahuwah allowed something spectacular to take place. He allowed people to see that he was real, with no questions asked. He revealed his power. The King family had been placed in the audience just for such a time as this, so that Mr. King would pray a simple prayer for Yahuwah to open the eyes of his people. And you know what? Yahuwah did. Wow. Isn't Yahuwah awesome? Even when some people make the ultimate sin of selling their souls to HaSatan, that sin too can be cleansed if Yahuwah grants it. There is no sin too great that the blood of Yeshua cannot cleanse. Only the sin of blaspheming the Ruach HaKodesh cannot be forgiven, not only in this age, but in the age to come. So don't let HaSatan deceive you into thinking there is no hope. There is always hope as long as you still have breath in your body. And there is a loving Elohim who is the only source of real joy, who truly loves you and is waiting on your call. Let Yahuwah show you his love today. Wow.
All right. Thank you, family, for once again joining me for another Wow Stories. I truly enjoy telling you these stories and have many more to go. One thing I want to say is, greater is he who is in you than he who is in this world. We are the children of Yah. We are his sons and daughters. We are a royal people. Please don't let HaSatan fool you into thinking that you are without hope. We have hope as long as there's breath in our bodies. Call on Yah. He wants us to call on him. He's our Father. And he loves us. We are the apple of his eye. I really enjoy sharing these stories with you, and I can't wait to share another one with you. Have one coming up soon. So until next time, Shalom.